Talk a little bit about working on whiskey.
Yeah, that song, I wrote that song with two of my co-writing partners in Nashville, I guess I can say last year now because it's 2017, but I wrote it in Nashville with two of my very close friends, and it came from something that had just happened literally a week before with an ex who had come to visit me up in Canada, and it didn't end up going very well, obviously, but it's one of those things. I think it just dealing with the loss of something, and dealing with the acceptance of that loss, relationship wise, and it's incredibly personal. It's an incredibly personal song, and that just it. I don't know. People just latched onto it, and it really honestly changed the path of my life last year. The success that I saw from that song was enormously heartwarming. So,
Mhm. Now, I mean, after all that success, what are some of your goals for this new year?
yeah, we're gonna be doing a new single soon. We're just in the process of choosing it. I have a gigantic catalog of songs from the last 4 years of writing, and so we're gonna pick one, record it, release it, most likely in the spring. In the summer, touring with Terry Clark. She's a very legendary Canadian country artist. Who's been living in Nashville for years, and so I'm going to be on the road with her for a little while, which is great. And yeah, a record most likely, which I'm super stoked about because there's so many songs that I have that I can't wait for people to hear.
Mhm.
So we're in the process of breaking all that down, and I just want to play live as much as I can as well.
Very cool. Now, if you could perform anywhere in the world that you haven't performed yet, where would you want to perform?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know. Can I pick like a couple?
Sure, sure.
I it's my ultimate goal to do an acoustic show at Carnegie Hall. I would in New York. I would absolutely just die if I got to play that stage. Um, the O2 in London.
Mhm.
That's in the UK. I'm really excited. I'm hoping to get over to Europe at some point this year as well. Europe has so many amazing venues and so many amazing music scenes. And Australia, like I'd love to get over to Australia and play some of the venues there.
Now, when first listening to your music, I for some reason draw this comparison to Chris Stapleton. I don't know if it's the soulful voice or just like the type of song,
Yeah.
because I feel like your songs come from their heart, and I get that same vibe from Chris Stapleton. Is that something you've thought of or something you've heard?
It's something that I have heard nothing but in the past sort of 9 to 12 months or so. And something that I admire greatly. I mean, I can't even fathom being compared to somebody like that. He's the most incredibly talented songwriter and singer that exists in the country world right now. And to be compared to him is a huge compliment. And I would die if I got to work with him one day. I mean, that's a huge goal for me. I would love to write with him. It would just make my entire life. But I appreciate the comparisons. I think it's a really huge compliment. It really is.
Now, do you have a favorite song by him?
Fire Away is one of the most beautifully heartbreaking songs that I think I've heard in a really long time. And I would love to hear the story behind that song. I loved the video. I loved the mental health awareness that they brought with that video. I've suffered from mental health issues my entire life, so that was something that really resonated with me. I can't wait for his record. I can't wait for his new record. It's going to be tough to follow that up, but we'll see. I'm sure he can do it. I'm sure he's got some tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. Now, what is your favorite part about singing or even songwriting?
My favorite part, dude, you ask great questions. Good on you.
Thank you.
Um, uh, I love just telling my story, and I think so many people say that. I find that so many singers and songwriters and artists say that they really enjoy the storytelling aspect of it. And I'm trying to find a new way to explain it because I think it gets a bit redundant when you just constantly, answer like that. But it's a great therapeutic thing for me. Anytime that a lot of the music that I write comes from personal experience, obviously. So it's something that I try to, I'll either bank it, like I'll throw it in the back of my mind. And when I go into a session, I do most of my writing in Nashville. I don't write a lot up in Toronto. So I'll bank it. And then when I finally get it out, it's so much different when you put it down on paper versus when it lives in your head and in your heart. And I think that's where the emotional aspect of my music comes from. So, yeah.
Now talk about Nashville. It's pretty much known as the place for country music. It is country music. What is your favorite part about
Yeah.
Nashville?
Um, so many things. I mean, I built such a life for myself there. I've been going there for 4 years, back and forth, and have spent a lot of time there. So I've built a network of family and friends there that I look up to and I am inspired by. The vibe is always really cool there. I always feel really inspired when I'm there. I think it's the level of talent. I think it's the amount of talent that's there. It kind of forces you to be like the greatest songwriter that you can possibly be, or artist that you can be when you spend time down there, because everybody's doing the same thing that you are.
Right.
And everybody's trying to make it, or whatever it is that means, and when I go there, I go there to work. It's work for me, in a really positive way. It's not, I don't let it get away from me. And the food, obviously. I mean, Southern food is the best kind of food. So how far away is St. Louis from Nashville? It's
uh,
not far, right?
no, it's probably like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I know. It's also a hub, right? That's what I love so much about Nashville, is it's a hub where, and when I do eventually live there permanently, which I will, most likely at the end of this year, um, it you can drive like 2, 3, 4 hours in like any direction, and
Right.
you can tour like 4 or 5 different states in any direction. And so it's very centralized. In Canada, you can't. I mean, it's in Ontario you can, but when you start getting out like west and stuff, there's like it's 7, 8 hours between like every single city. So I love it for that too. I can't wait to explore sort of the surrounding areas of Tennessee.
For you, are there any differences between country music in Canada and country music here?
Oh, um, yes and no. Um, a lot of us up here, a lot of the artists that are seeing some success up here in Canada do most of their work in Nashville as well.
Uh,
So there's been this shift lately. I've noticed, especially on the radio up here, where things are starting to blend together. The Americanized sound, whatever that means, versus the Canadian sound. I mean, it's not really that big of a difference. I think more than anything, it's kind of a race to the top when it comes to innovation and like reinventing yourself, because you can get stuck in a box very, very easily in Canada because it's so small. It's so small here, like incredibly small, when it comes to the music industry. So yeah, I mean, I feel very lucky to be, in this genre in particular, surrounded by people that are just so different, and are just trying to do whatever it is that they do to keep true to themselves.
for those singers trying to make it in country music or just music in general, what advice would you like to give them?
I don't know, man. You know what? I'm like learning as I go. I find myself, especially in the past year, I've found myself in so many situations where I didn't really know what to do. Luckily, I have a really incredible management team who sort of guided me through most of it. But um, I think it's just about being yourself, and really finding what it is that you want to say, and saying it in the best way that you can possibly say it. Being careful with choosing content of your songs, lyrically, melodically, everything. Just be very careful with that. And practice. Like, practicing is number one. Like, it really is. And getting in front of as many crowds as you can. I've played so many damn shows in my life before I saw before anybody like even knew who the heck I was. It's like that was something that I perfected, was the live experience. You know, the Jessica Mitchell live was something that I really wanted to be literally the best at, you know, and I'm glad that I did that, because it shows. It starts to really show. So yeah, you know, and just be yourself, man. And don't take no for an answer.